a glass of water first?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'll do a shark top into the
Shark top.
Yeah. I should just get set up in the system so.
Busy. Enjoying a Mel Brooks wedding on Sunday.
Mel Brooks.
Wow.
The bride and the groom went. They went all the Spaceballs jokes. They went the Princess Bride
marriage.
opening as well, which is not Mel Brooks. Yeah, they went the marriage. So I'm doing all these bits. I'm trying to write. It's more a comedy routine than I'm writing a wedding ceremony, to be honest. That's actually what I've been doing.
You're writing comedy now?
I'm writing a wedding ceremony, that's for sure. Thank you, brother.
All right.
Whoa.
You can hang out as long you're part of the show. Like this is why we're doing it here. Like you can, everyone's here, and if you want to remember, if you want to do your show or segment, be in the light. Yeah. Because as Cliff gets started, this is when I hit wide camera and I say, "Hello, everybody."
Hello, everybody.
Welcome
Hello,
to
everybody.
the show. I'm your host,
Hello,
Justin.
everybody.
This is Cliff. Broadway.
Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody.
This is Torn Tuesday, your weekly dose of all things Hobbit and Lord of the Rings.
Hello, everybody.
Cliff, how long have we been doing this show?
Are you kidding me? Has it been just over 6 years? It's like a live experience that has, never, ever lost its shine. Nobody's going to take the shine off of this penny. It's been 6 beautiful years, my friend. What do you think?
What do we talk about? Is there stuff to talk about every week about Lord of the Rings?
There's
6
too
years?
much. There's too much to talk
That's
about.
over 300 episodes.
We never lack for something to talk about.
Why is that? What do we talk about? Is it always Tolkien related?
No, you can expect an excellent, pop culture examination. You can expect a few laughs and winks along the way. There's a lot of community energy because we get people who are involved live on the show, live in person, now that we're here at Scum and Villainy Cantina, and live on several streams of chat where we even take phone calls live on the hotline. You come in via Skype, and you guys have been such an organic part of the show for so many years.
You guys have kept this going.
This audience has kept us frickin' going, I'm telling you. I mean,
if we run out of things to talk about, they keep us in check. And I tell you, we're live from the Scum and Villainy Cantina in the middle of Hollywood. We have guests on our show, and you too.
Daniel is here with us.
Anyone. It's open to the public. You guys can come to Hollywood and Cahuenga, the world-famous Hollywood Boulevard, with the stars in the sidewalk right in front, and sit at the bar and chat with us.
This hat. This
hat. My hat?
This
you have a
hat.
Totoro hat.
This is your hat, son. What is this, like the Republican National Convention in 1956?
It's Westworld Week.
It's Westworld Week. Oh, I get it. That's actually even better. Actually, that's a very sharp hat. Ain't no harm, no foul. You look well groomed today, good sir. Ladies and gentlemen, Justin Sewell, my co-host.
I'm
Clifford Broadway, and you're on board. Torn Tuesday, by the way.
You just saw our graphics go on. I'm trying to point like right here in the graphics, right here. Yeah.
Okay. Yes.
You can follow.
There's our lower third. How magical.
There's our lower third, and right above our head,
real
is
show.
Scrolling text of how you can communicate with us on the show. Now, we watch the Facebook chat. I think we're going to set up a Discord so we can have a chat room that's just persistent. People can log in and
set
just
up a
chat.
Discord?
There's a thing called Discord chat, and it's like the new version of IRC. But
oh, really?
I think it's a good way of just having
kind of
a
like
chat
Slack,
room.
having people in groups chat together?
Right.
Yeah.
So I think we're going to set that up. We're already getting text messages on the hotline. There's lots to talk about. We are about to enter another golden age of Middle Earth with the Amazon series. Great time to be a Tolkien fan. That's exactly how we feel. Now,
that is the conventional wisdom, although not all people do feel that way. But I'm fascinated. I'm fascinated by Lindsay Ellis, this young lady who's done these video essays.
We have to talk about that.
We're going to talk about. Tonight's show is full of stuff to talk about. Oh my gosh.
We're going to talk about
We've
all
got Daniel
of the
here, our friend from down under.
We've got Infinity War discussions. This Hobbit video that
Thanos demands your silence.
Hold on.
Thanos demands your silence.
But we want to have open
No.
The whole show. So
Yeah,
it is a responsibility on your end to call in and be a part of the conversation. I just want to say we're going to have this. Skype is open right now. You can find us on Skype through the scrolling text. Now make sure when you call that you're on topic. We want to keep things organized and fun. And today we're going to talk about Infinity War and the hype, and we're going to talk about Lindsay Ellis and this Hobbit making of behind the scenes controversy video that's been making the rounds today.
Honestly, it was actually like film analysis. It was not behind the scenes.
Yeah, film analysis.
She spoke quite unflinchingly with actual cast members and New Zealand filmmakers to talk about the political ramifications of them changing the labor laws in New Zealand, and not to mention the relative successes versus the lack of successes of the Hobbit adaptation. You know me, I'm old school. You talk to me about Rankin Bass, The Hobbit, and I'm all in. I throw all my cards on the table. In fact, I'll stand up on the table with my furry feet and I'll sing you a couple of songs, just like Glenn Yarborough. I'm all about that old school Hobbit. But still, Peter Jackson's Hobbit trilogy, still controversial to this day.
For many reasons, and we've talked about this. So let's go to camera 2 right here.
Not quite as polarizing as Rian Johnson's attempt at The Last Jedi, but still polarizing Tolkien fans. Anyway, JC's nodding over there.
Some people would say that the Hobbit trilogy was better than The Last Jedi.
Some would say that the Hobbit trilogy is better than Pirates 3, 4, and 5 combined.
Now, I would say all those things.
Look,
you're not. Are you on? Are you on, JC? I didn't hear that.
So I want to say that before we get started, you made fun of my hat, but we always have.
I don't. I love your hat.
We always have great hats on the show, but I wanted to show it off because if you look on the side there, that is an official Westworld logo. I've been to Westworld and I got the hat to prove it.
A Westworld hat.
Look, like, can you guys see? Yeah, you guys can see that.
Oh, I see that. That is the W. Wait, does that mean that it was made by androids?
They dream of electric sheep. Yes, they do. But
oh my gosh,
I am all in on. And look,
I know season 1 of Westworld was phenomenal. It was phenomenal.
And
Jeffrey Wright and Sir Anthony Hopkins, everybody from the top down.
So there's no Lord of the Rings connection to Westworld. I just like the show, but I will say that there is one almost connection to Lord of the Rings, and you know what that is? The very third person.
Huge media conglomerate throwing a lot of money at a big franchise?
No, besides being produced by the Warner Brothers umbrella of HBO.
Oh, yes.
Westworld had their third cast member that they had hired for the show that was going to play the lady in charge of the park, basically the park manager of Westworld, was originally cast as Miranda Otto. Eowyn.
Oh, wow. Our very own Eowyn. Wowzer.
Eowyn was originally going to be the park manager, Teresa.
Really?
And
I love Miranda Otto. She's done some great shows and some not-so-great movies since The Lord of the Rings.
She was in 24, the latest season of 24.
Yeah, but she was in that Super Turkey Eye Frankenstein. Or what was it? The one with the guy from Thank You for Smoking.
Oh, I don't know.
Remember that she played.
I never saw that.
She played this gargoyle goddess in this weird, bad, cheesy Frankenstein movie that was released in late January and crashed and burned.
Is your hat made in the USA?
I'm not making this up.
Jeff Scott says, "Is my hat made in the USA?" And what does that say, Cliff?
It says 5X, quintuple X, made in USA.
That's right.
That is quintuple grade leather, prime leather.
This is as legit as they get.
Too legit to quit.
I need to wear it a little more little outdoors a little more and get a little more wear and tear.
You should. You should weather that.
Actually,
or you could take it to our friends at Weta and they will dust it and paint it and make it look weathered. You can do things like that, can't you, Daniel? You can do weathering on costumes. Yeah, perhaps.
So this is an official hat, but
it's a beautiful thing. Tell me where you got this. Where did you get this?
I got it at Westworld.
Where?
Literally, I went to Westworld. I got interviewed by one of the androids. It was very intimidating. It felt like they were prying into my personality.
Was this the Westworld experience at Comic-Con?
Yes.
That's
so
what that was.
At San Diego Comic-Con last year, they had it was limited to, I think, 75 people per day. Now, out of 120,000 people,
well, you got lucky then.
At Comic-Con, they only let 75 in per day. And when they let you in, it's weird because you had to go to a hotel next to the Comic-Con, and you had to sign in. And of course, everyone looks like and acts like an android. Like, no one broke character.
Really?
They give you a reservation card, and they say, show up at this address at this time. And I had to go 20 blocks away. Like, I had to leave Comic-Con and show up
to the secret location.
And then they took me into Westworld. They had me sit down on a chair this close, and they interviewed me like they do on the show.
I love it.
Really? Tell me what you. They gave me a bunch of like A/B answers. Like if someone came up with and they asked me questions like if a cowboy came into town, guns blazing, and he said, "You're going to rob a bank with us, or I'm going to shoot you dead," what would you choose? So they were basically getting they're asking you leading questions of like, you know, who's your favorite artist? What piece of art represents you most? Do you know, what is your family life like? They totally really deep personal questions, and then after 20 minutes they assign you a hat.
After 20 minutes they sell your data to Cambridge Analytica.
No, this is Westworld. They sell it to Delos.
Oh.
But
okay.
Then you get your hat, and then they take you down the hallway, and you open this door, and suddenly you're in a bar, a saloon, a train car saloon.
Really? That sounds cool.
The windows are like moving fast, and you're going through the desert. I really went to Westworld, and I got the hat to prove it, and the emotional damage to prove it.
How lucky were you to actually get to be one of those people? I mean, was it a random draw? Like they randomly ticketed people?
Yeah, totally random.
Oh, cool. That's so cool. San Diego Comic-Con is...
It was like a BuzzFeed quiz. Yes, to relate this to the millennials in the audience, yes, It was a real-life BuzzFeed quiz.
A crazy Western android. And, well, I'm all down for Westworld because I think it is an example of how a lot of good, smart production, a lot of creative agency, and the support of HBO helps make Game of Thrones and makes Westworld and makes all those shows that they do as excellent as they are. So why would you automatically fall into the cynical camp that what Amazon is going to do with their $500 million already spent on it is already... I mean, it is too easy to fall into that line of cynicism.
And then why would you fall into that cynicism when Universal would spend equal amount of money building a Middle-earth theme park in Florida?
Would you believe it? Well,
I went to Westworld and I had a life-affirming experience, and anyone that's gone to Hobbiton in New Zealand has had a similar reaction. And
it's a life-affirming experience. Yes.
I'm all in on more. I want a destination
definitely
in Florida. I want to go to Middle Earth.
Okay. We definitely know what Justin's, unambiguous feelings. My feelings. However, I get targeted for being the ambivalent one about the theme park thing, but I'm not going to get targeted this time. Not this time.
What state are you in,
not
Kaylin?
This time.
Am I given a nod to your state? Let me know what state. Hey guys, we also upgraded the internet here at the.
Does that mean that? Oh wow, well you did not.
So
really nice, JC.
So
thank you.
Everything should be smooth here. Please, in the chat room, give us a shout in the chat room or text us. Let us know the quality of the stream.
Oh, there it is. See, my number's right underneath it. 310-64...
530.
No, I said 530, okay. 64 FRODO.
That's 643-7636. Spells Frodo.
For Frodo.
That's right.
Oh my gosh, that is a very cool thing.
So we can support Skype calls. We can support everything. Remind all fans that we got a text message on the hotline right now. Remind all fans that Lord of the Rings is one of 100 books on PBS's Great American Read. Let's vote at number 1 on May 22nd.
Oh.
Is voting open right now?
That's a good question. Is voting open? PBS's Great American Read.
On PBS's Great American Read. Now,
perhaps that could be a historical watermark, like it was when they asked audiences across America and in England, vote for what is your favorite book of the 20th century. And everybody in those ivory towers, especially the literati, the upper crust, were like, shocked when Tolkien's fantasy trilogy, The Lord of the Rings, made the top list. And I think it was Amazon. Was it Amazon before?
That's right.
They were a massive multimedia conglomerate when they were just selling books online. Amazon's top 100 books of all time, and there was some disruption in the literary community because of that. Because they couldn't handle the shock that Professor Tolkien would be #1 book of the century.
I have
Maybe
an
this
issue
could
with
be
this, though.
A new vote for the new century.
I have an issue with this particular PBS thing because it says PBS's Great American Read. Now, as we know, J.R.R. Tolkien never set foot in America in his entire life.
Nothing American about the story.
There's nothing American about the filmmaking.
Nor the filmmaking.
That's New Zealand.
Also true.
There is nothing American about Lord of the Rings. So I don't agree with it being the Great American Read.
Maybe that's just supposed to be a title for like America's favorite books. And why wouldn't Americans adapt their taste to other authorship from abroad? I encourage American readers to pick up foreign authors from time to time.
Well, Cliff,
I've been known to do that.
We're getting text messages on the hotline, Cliff. Someone says, Cliff is magnificent as always.
Oh, you should see me when I'm sober with my little my Groucho Marx. My little Groucho Marx
Oh,
cigar.
you know who it is? It's Pappy Hobbit.
What? Happy Hobbit? Where's that?
Pappy Hobbit.
I love Pappy Hobbit.
I visited the Happy Hobbits at their secret farm in California a couple weeks ago.
Hey, Pappy. Mr. Pappy Hobbit, thank you.
And the Happy Hobbits, Kelly and Alex, are always wonderful, but their dad, the dad of the Happy Hobbits, plays a lot of video games. He's playing Fortnite, and I don't know if he's playing God of War. Like, he's playing all the latest games, and I said, you should start a Twitch channel and call it Pappy Hobbit.
I dig that. That's hilarious.
I would watch Pappy Hobbit get angry at video games every night. You might even be more popular than your daughters. So Happy Hobbit's father should start a Twitch channel, and if you agree with me, put it in the chat room. That's hilarious. You would watch and you would subscribe to Pappy Hobbit.
Hey there, Ellen. Hey, there's Ellen.
Twitch.
She's in the chat.
Hey, Ellen is in the chat. A wonderful lighting designer has made us look even better.
Even better than before.
Yeah. I think we're in a good spot now. She's helped make this place
quite the excellent spot.
Yeah. I mean,
hi, guys. Make yourselves comfy. Enjoy. Talking about Lord of the Rings and Hobbit stuff, geeking out. So, live on the air. Here's what happens when you talk about Westworld being a benchmark for success for handling a huge franchise.
Yes.
I immediately want to draw the analogy to what Amazon is going to do with what even sight unseen, if they get the right people on the team and they get the right writers in that writer's room, they've got the money and the creative agency to blow Westworld out of the water, to even far outdo our high expectations from Game of Thrones.
Well, according
multiple primetime Emmy-winning Game of Thrones.
I'm not going to give any spoilers away, but I will say this because it's in the first episode.
Off the air, you've given me plenty of spoilers.
The latest episode of Westworld, the only thing I will say is that they mentioned that there are 6 parks, and Westworld is one of 6 parks. Sounds like Middle-earth to me. Westworld is like Rohan, the Horse Lords. You could do a whole Westworld series in Rohan, of the lives of horses.
There would be people who would want a vacation pass to stay in Rohan, and they wouldn't go to they wouldn't go to anywhere else in Middle Earth. They'd stay in Rohan. I know that. My Swedish girl Amelia, who was like one of those Swedish women, bless their hearts. It's a tradition. They're raised with little horses. They learn to ride when they're 5 years old. These kids learn equestrian skills at the youngest age. They really do. And it's like a Scandinavian thing.
If Universal built a replica of Rohan where you could go there, pay the admission fee, and learn how to ride a horse and enter Edoras and take a photo on the steps of Edoras with the winds blowing and the flags, count me in.
Yeah.
Count me in. Yeah. What do your elf eyes
count you
see?
in. All right, what you're gonna get ultimately, you'll get like the Rohan VR experience, where you get to stand in a VR world and you'll whistle in the wind just once, and then wait a minute, and then here comes the beautiful Howard Shore music in the background, and then then comes the Lord of all horses.
Can you imagine walking around a theme park with the themes
$50
of Lord of the Rings? like
true.
just in the background. Hey, we got a question on the hotline. I love that you guys are texting us. Cliff.
Yes.
How should Amazon present this new Lord of the Rings series in the first 5 minutes so viewers know this is not the War of the Ring? If they had only 5 minutes in the first episode to set the stage for what you're about to see.
I would, instead of doing like the quiet like narration in the dark and doing a whole 7-minute prologue, which is full of exposition and details, instead of all that blobbity blah, why not start with a breakneck action sequence, an unexpected, vitalized, quick-paced action sequence of some kind that introduces us to characters, critical characters, at the same time? How about that? The opposite of a talky, exposition-burdened prologue, which I don't mind. I mean, as a fan...
Galadriel did very well explaining the history of the rings.
And it was a necessary thing.
In 5 minutes, we got the whole history.
I'm not complaining about that. I'm just saying...
And that wasn't in the book, was it?
If you want a departure, that is my suggestion for a departure.
Was Galadriel's intro in the first Lord of the Rings film, Galadriel's 5-minute intro, was that in the book at all?
No.
Did Galadriel ever retell the story of the history of the rings?
No. Most of that stuff happens in the Council of Elrond, which goes on for like one of the most lengthy and like it's a real meat and potatoes chapter. It's really talky. And each person sitting around the table will talk for about 6 or 7 pages about other big chapters of Middle-earth history, other things going on in other regions. And then when Gandalf gives you the full breakdown of the history of the ring, he gives Frodo a lot of that conversation in front of the fireplace in Bag End, but a lot more is revealed as a big dump of exposition, a real talking dump of words from via Gandalf, bless his heart, at the Council of Elrond.
So Galadriel
no Galadriel echo in the past, nothing like that.
So there's nothing wrong with changing.
The man's not read the book. I can't believe the man has not read the book, and he's got that shit-eating grin on his face, and he's just.
I like the movies. I like the movies.
I love the movies too, but come on, son. Also, you know what's an extra bonus?
Just come on, son.
I did say come on, son, because you got the hat. It's because you got the hat. I have to do it. I have to do the Westworld bit. Now, here's the thing.
I need to get you a hat.
I would love one.
We can Western up this show.
I would do it. I would so do it. Now, opening chapter of Chapter 1, Fellowship of the Ring, is actually preceded by Professor Tolkien giving a written prologue, and it's called Concerning Hobbits. Believe it or not. Like, there's a whole prologue that Tolkien gives you for like a few pages before you even start Chapter 1, a long expected part.
That has nothing to do with the Hobbit book.
So, but it does create something of an analogy to you saying, is there a Galadriel prologue in the book? And I'm like, no, there's not. But Tolkien gives you some Hobbit history and some background on who they are because he wanted to catch people up who had never read The Hobbit. So he gives them some stuff.
Hey, I want to get your feedback. Let's open up the Skype lines.
Yes.
Guys, Skype us at the One Ring Net, all one word. If you search for the email address, I think it's webmaster at the One Ring Net. Find us. It's called Barlam and Buttermer. But we want to know how you think the new Lord of the Rings series should open in the first 5 minutes.
I think a breathtaking high-speed action sequence. Pick up the microphone.
I think we have an answer. Like,
who's got a live microphone? Hey, you don't mind if we turn these on, do you, JC? We can turn these on? Yeah?
Let's do it.
What? How do you, oh, hey. No, the audience is... Oh, hey, take that. There you go.
Check.
We're gonna, we actually have a live audience, so we're going to ask our audience.
I'm getting that.
Weird.
Yeah, that's a good...
Check.
I'm getting that, Mike. Good.
I was just going to say, it depends what the frame of the show will be. What do we think the frame of the show will be? Whose perspective will it be told from?
We've argued about that for a few weeks, about the actual framework of the show.
Who do you think should be the
framing device, you mean?
Yeah.
Or we don't even know if it's going to be an anthology yet. We don't know if it's going to be like a continual successive history, or if it will be a bounce anthology that really jumps forward and backward to different times and places in Middle-earth. We don't know yet.
Okay. For my money, if I was going to have a red-hot go at making the show, I would start it from Concerning Hobbits again. Because that's kind of like the everyman sort of perspective.
It's kind of like, I feel like Concerning Hobbits is like the trench run of Star Wars, where every movie and every game has to have a trench run. Every Star Wars game has always had a trench run. The last, 5 Star Wars movies have had some sort of trench runs in various capacities.
That's hilarious.
There are some standards that this show just needs to open with.
Yeah.
What do you think? Anybody else? Anybody a Lord of the Rings fan here who wants to throw down? Yeah.
Yeah.
Is this thing on? Is this thing on?
Yeah, we're getting it on the stream.
You're getting this on the screen?
Yeah.
Okay, because we're not getting in the room, but yeah. Of course. Daniel, thank you. Having an opening of about hobbits, you might actually be 600 or 1600 years early in the narrative when they've got the story rights to Numenor and all that stuff way before. You see what I mean? Yeah. Okay.
What do you want to know? What do you want to see more of in a Lord of the Rings series?
Yeah.
I like elves, so I would begin the film with elves.
Galadriel.
More elves.
There, right?
Definitely more elves.
The elves are the most interesting.
Yeah, they are. They're the most tragic and the most interesting. Elves. The more the better.
You guys, the Skype line is open. I'm not getting any calls yet.
Call us on Skype. I've been known from time to time to say, wouldn't Elrond be a good framing device? Have him telling a story in flashback. Because he was there. I was there 1,000 years ago. He was there. He's an immortal elf. He was there. He can tell us some stories, right? You know what I mean?
Our chat room is blowing up. It says it should start with a shocking scene, like someone dying to grip the audience. You don't need to grip the audience with Tolkien. Like no one needs to die. That is a very dark way of looking at things. We love these hobbits and elves, and no one needs to die. That's what the Lord of the Rings is about. Just put us in a time frame. All
right, Tolkien Girl has sent us a text here, and I have said, hey there, gentlemen, Cliff, that's really the only way I can see the new Amazon series starting. How difficult do you think it's going to be for the series to distance itself from Peter Jackson's movies? And do you think they'll want to completely?
Well, we know the answer to that, and the answer is they don't want to distance themselves. In fact, part of the Amazon deal is they have full access to everything New Line has produced. So they can use clips, they can use characters, and they can use content. They have full access to the entire New Line cinematic universe.
Isn't there also a bit of sentiment among fans that we'd like to see a fresh start?
This can be a fresh start.
Some people would like to see some fresh images, some fresh designs.
Isn't that what Infinity War is going to be for Marvel? It's a fresh start.
Oh, dude. Do you think?
If they go by the comics, Infinity War ends with a snap of the finger, and it's a fresh start for the universe.
No spoilers. Thanos demands your silence. Damn, son.
I haven't seen the movie. I have no idea.
Damn.
I'm just disappointed that the
you talk more than a saloon girl at a hoedown.
The Lord of the Rings movies are coming to television.
No spoilers.
And these I feel like Middle Earth is meant for the big screen. It's meant to envelope you in a world, in a dark place with fellow fans and fellow people, and watching it on your screen, on your laptop, on your TV, over Amazon Prime is not the best experience for Middle Earth.
No, but that's why people invest in home theater systems where they have massive 60-inch screens that have 4K, ultra-high-def gorgeousness with audio bars that are like Bang & Olufsen, and they're frickin' amazing. People try to recreate something of a cinema experience at home. Am I nuts? All right, look, I hate to be a contrarian, although I kind of love doing it. But yes, Middle Earth is meant to be a larger canvas of storytelling, and that is why it resonates with us as films. It's on the biggest screen possible. That's why so much talk is in the air of the theatrical re-release of Stanley Kubrick's 2001 A Space Odyssey, which has been, according to the careful handling of
not restored.
Christopher Nolan. Christopher Nolan got involved to make sure that there were no changes and it wasn't restored. This is like a nice old 70mm print. But when you see these images in 70mm that huge, it is amazing. Now, I wouldn't say the high frame rate worked, I wouldn't say that worked for The Hobbit.
No, the technical aspects of The Hobbit are the worst part of it.
It didn't work for Ang Lee, also trying to use the ultra high def.
Hey Scott,
the high frame rate. It didn't work, but
I love Westworld. It has nothing to do with bull riding. There are no bull riders in Rohan. There are no bulls in Middle Earth, are there?
I think that when you watch Game of Thrones, and if you have the appropriate home theater system, you're pretty much getting a theatrical experience. Are you not? Are you guys? All right. Thumbs up. Anybody? Give me some hearts or some likes
you know what?
in the Facebook chat. If you're a Game of Thrones fan, give me some hearts. Give me some likes.
Northerner points out on the hotline that when Galadriel says, "I feel it in the water," that was a line from Treebeard.
Yeah, those lines of dialogue were directly from Treebeard. Yes, that's true. Thank you, Northrunner. That is a very good.
Mayor Gamgee here says Gollum would be an amazing narrator.
Yeah.
I don't agree.
Smeagol has seen a lot.
He's hard to understand,
I think Smeagol could be... What if you have a different narrator or a different framing device?
No, he's unreliable narrator.
No, he could
Things
be great.
fail when you have an unreliable narrator.
No. Look, if it is an anthology, like American Horror Story, then maybe every season can be led by a certain character. Maybe Isildur will get 1 year. Maybe one season could be Gollum from his point of view. Maybe one from Gandalf's point of view. Another year, Elrond, the Lord of Rivendell. Young Aragorn. 1, 2, 3. There's 5 characters, 5 different seasons of stories. Are you kidding me?
Wait,
Hello.
Scott.
Writer's Room, Amazon. If you need someone to work on the Writer's Room, I'm sitting right here.
Hey, we got.
I think
grab
that's a
that
cool
mic
idea.
right there. That one.
If that's on, yeah. Which one do you think?
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Is that good? Is that good?
Yeah.
All right. There was a game many years ago called Aragorn's Quest, and that was Sam telling his kids back in the Shire his spin on the whole story.
Yep.
If they did it that way, they could probably incorporate all like the best bits, Lord of the Rings, the poetry and stuff like that.
Have
you could do
Sean
that.
Astin come back and tell,
And you could fit in the songs and stuff like that, because I don't know, if you read do you really believe that Theoden was coming up with all that poetry and stuff on the fly on the Battle of the Pelennor Fields? Was he just freestyling all that good stuff?
The Rohirrim were based on Anglo-Saxons, and they did share oral history. That's how they remembered all their stories and their ancestors from the past. So
you're right, Ellen. You're right.
I would expect Theoden to be one of the few types of people who would have verses committed to memory.
Okay.
He's Anglo-Saxon, dude.
My take on it was that it was someone else was going, you know what, he did this cool thing, and there was an awesome poem that we wrote subsequently that wraps up the entire thing. I mean, if you were telling it from Sam's perspective, he can weave in all those great things. Mic drop.
And Sean Astin is a great voice, and he's an honest narrator. We trust his narration, and the most.
Take that.
Everyone talks about, like, the first thing you learn about in writing class is the reliable narrator or the unreliable narrator. Can you trust what is being said to you, the watcher?
Having an unreliable narrator like Smeagol or Gollum makes it far, far more interesting, because you know you're getting a slant that you've never gotten before. Professor Tolkien gives us precious little time within Gollum's point of view. The fact that Peter Jackson gives us an entire prologue from Return of the King with, Gollum's point of view is really cool, and it's fascinating, and it's tragic, and it dials you into the story very much. And that was Gollum's point of view, and then all of a sudden he talks about his own transformation, and then all of a sudden, bam, you're back in the present moment with him watching over Sam and Frodo and struggling with himself. He may be an unreliable narrator, but even Peter Jackson used Gollum as the everyman entry point into the Return of the King. It begins with that little fish worm on that hook. It's the opening shot, is Smeagol putting the worm on the hook.
The thing I like about Sean Astin...
It's relatable. It's totally relatable. What happened to him?
Samwise, as the narrator,
not really
could
relatable,
be... in context is appropriate, because the last author of the Red Book of Westmarch that was begun by Bilbo, handed down to Frodo, then given to Sam.
Samwise, yes.
The rest of the tale is for you to complete. Remember at the end of the Lord of the Rings, Frodo gives Sam the book. The tale is yours to tell from here on out. So Sam could be filling up tomes of the Red Book and telling all of the tales from all over Middle-earth. And so it does make contextual sense for Samwise, Sean Astin, to be the narrator, to telling the stories.
He could be one of the narrators for one full season.
You could have all the stories.
You could have, maybe, yeah, sure. Maybe
because everyone went into the West, right? Galadriel's gone, Elrond's gone, Gandalf's gone. So maybe they imparted all these stories to Sam.
Then you are committed to having all 5 or 7 or 8 seasons always stuck with Samwise.
Stuck with Samwise?
Always
That's not
with
a bad
Samwise.
thing.
Always with that same framing device year after year after year after year.
It's not a bad thing.
An anthology series can take a totally different third-person or first-person approach, season by season, with a different... Am I crazy for thinking this? That there's some versatility that comes with
television?
Yeah. With television itself.
Yeah, but
they get
still
to play
anchored.
with the format. Look at what Westworld is doing.
But you have to anchor it. Hey, we got another text that says, the problem that Amazon has is not to copy the films.
We don't know yet.
And also not to get too far away from the artistic style of the films. That will complicate any simple creative decision. Yeah, look, I think their intent is to stay within the known world that we've seen on the big screen. And I think there are some challenges to maintaining that aesthetic, whether they work with Peter Jackson and Weta or whether they don't and choose someone else. They still, I think, have to stick to that. Hey, we got a call on the hotline.
We've got a call on the hotline. Do you believe that? All right, shall we?
Let's answer.
All right, we got a call on the hotline. Hey. You're on the OneRing.net live. Where are you calling from? Hello?
I don't hear anything.
Hello, you're live on the OneRing.net. Where are you calling from?
We're not hearing anything. Maybe they want to sell us solar.
Solar panels, sure.
Cliff, you're not crazy. I completely agree with you.
Thank you.
Hey,
thank you,
who's
Letitia Greenwood. Greenwood the Great.
Marilu asks, who's the dwarf that is killed with the book in his hands? That is our friend Adam Brown, who plays Ori, the dwarf, the scribe.
Ori the scribe.
The smallest dwarf in the company of dwarves in The Hobbit.
But not the youngest, although misidentified during the scene with the Great Goblin, where he says, we're going to start by torturing the youngest one. And they do a quick cut to Adam Brown, and it's not him. It's Feely or Keely, one of the two of them. They're the youngest one.
So Ori...
So totally wrong dwarf.
Ori the dwarf goes on the mission to reclaim
But that was Peter's
Moria.
Edit. Oh, wait. All right. Reclaim Moria? Yeah, I'm all about a whole full season to reclaim Moria. I'm all about that. Hey, you're on the OneRing.net live. Where are you calling from?
Can you guys hear me this time?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, we hear you now. Definitely.
Okay. Hi, it's Tolkien Girl. How you guys doing?
Hey.
Hi, Tolkien Girl.
Hey there.
So, the question of the day is, how do you think they should open the first episode of the new series?
I actually completely agree with Justin on this one. I think Sam would be an amazing narrator, like, all the way through. And Cliff, you said earlier that it doesn't sound quite relatable. Like when Justin said that Sam would be a relatable narrator. I have to disagree with that because most people, like, have this remembering being told stories as a kid, and, like, whether you see it from, like, the wonder of Sam's kid's perspective of, like, hearing these stories, or, like, Sam's perspective of retelling them, it really is relatable in that aspect because most people have a memory of that somewhere, whether it's their parents or their grandparents. And I remember this series growing up. I think it was actually called The Storyteller. And
yes.
I think a style like that would do wonders for the series.
Yeah. Yeah, Jim Henson's The Storyteller is a great example of a fantasy anthology series that is still held near and dear to many people's hearts.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So you think that Sam would be a good entry point into the new series wherever it may lead?
I do, yeah, because like if you got Sean Astin back, that would give the movie fans an in, and just the character of Sam would give book characters an in, and then you've got this character who's in a very, very good position for new fans to be like to find relatable, and also you mentioned Sean Astin has a wonderful voice.
Yes, I agree.
And you know what? I'm with you also, because in the original book, Samwise was pretty much the character that was the entry point for a lot of people. I mean, when he was chosen by Gandalf to be pulled along unwittingly on Frodo's journey, it's like the audience themselves identify with this everyman, this guy who's like, wow, I get to go along on this journey too. And we see so many new things through his eyes in many parts of the book as well. Thank you for that adroit observation, Tolkien girl. It's
yes,
great.
Thank you for calling in.
Thanks for having me, guys.
All right.
Awesome. Thanks for being on the show.
Hey, I do want to point out that on our message boards over the years, The Wandering has been around since 1998. We've had a lot. We've basically talked about everything 10 times. But some people have pointed out that the actual tale of Lord of the Rings, as we have read it and seen it on the screen, is the last person that had a chance to write those stories was Samwise. He was the last person to write, to author the Red Book of Westmarch. In fact, he could have gone back and taken out pages that Bilbo had written, which makes him an unreliable narrator, because he could have taken out everything and replaced it with things that make him look good, and the story we see now makes Sam look like the ultimate hero that carried his fellow brethren on his back up the fiery mountain. And when Frodo almost succumbed to the ring, it was Sam that came. Like, everything in the movies shows Sam in the most heroic, unchanging, unflinching light, and he's unreliable because he was the last person that could have wrote those stories. He could have embellished his own accomplishments in this story.
You shall not pass, fool. Are you kidding?
What do you mean?
There were years that passed while Frodo was finishing writing what happened in the War of the Ring. So you know, even just from watching the film, that it was Frodo who wrote down all that stuff about Sam helping him during his time of need. And there's a lot of dialogue committed to, I wonder if we're ever going to make it into the old tales. And Frodo thinks this is self-reflexive and funny and a little weird. And he's like, you know what, Sam, I don't know if they ever will, but they can't tell that story unless they include you, Sam, because I wouldn't have made it without you, buddy. And Sam's like, oh, don't poke fun at me, Mr. Frodo. Remember this dialogue in the movie? Okay, I'm serious. The thing is like built already to automatically be Sam's story in flashback. If Amazon does...
And it just someone happened to call him Samwise the Brave?
No, that was...
Come on, like...
That's because he has a daydream about it. He has a daydream.
The whole story is his daydream.
It's a confession.
I don't trust half the things.
No, it's an extraordinary... You have misunderstood, from having not read the book, an extraordinary confessional moment where Samwise imagines himself not just being a gardener who's growing up digging in the dirt in Hobbiton, but has actually become part of a bigger fabric which is beyond his understanding. And it is a fascinating part of the story.
Sam never had to make the hard decision to either return to Frodo or take the ring to the mountain. It was Sam who was stung.
I will put a button on that conversation. If Amazon does one thing right...
It was Sam who was stung by Shelob. That was his...
Listen to me, you're interrupting me. I'm telling you, this thing, if Samwise does become the framing device, which many people would love to see, then great. Great. Sam, you're there. Sean Astin, we love you. And at least we'll get 5 or 7 more years of Sean Astin on television. That's great. That's fine.
I have a t-shirt idea.
That's fine.
Samwise is my homeboy. Moving on.
Actually, I think that was pretty good.
We wanted to talk about this new video. We wanted to talk about this new video that the YouTuber Lindsay Ellis has put together. This is the third video in a set of 2.
Samwise is my rosebud.
she talks about. Look, I think. Okay, let's go back to this. All right.
Okay, yeah.
This T-shirt design, this T-shirt concept of like Andre is my homeboy is from Andre the Giant, who just had a documentary on HBO.
Yes, he did.
Right.
Yeah.
And Shepard Fairey made his name and made a ton of money.
Yep.
Appropriating
Public
Andre
space,
the Giant's
appropriating
face.
both Andre's face and public space in the art world. Yes.
To create Obey Giant.
Yep, that's right.
And it started off as Andre had Andre has a posse.
Andre has a posse. Yeah.
Andre has a posse.
I have one of those original stickers.
So why
somewhere.
don't we do that for Samwise and take like a bad photocopied image of Samwise and
Samwise
and
has a posse.
maybe we use the animated Samwise and we pasted all over LA and turned Samwise into the new Andre the Giant.
Okay, the street art movement has begun. What do you think? We should consult our local Australian artist. What's the key to getting a toehold in the world of street art, Daniel?
I'm not a street artist. I have no idea.
And what, really?
No, absolutely not.
I have such admiration for street art and the street arts world.
Oh my God! Don't make him feel bad. Like
I'm not making him feel bad.
I mean, I do as well, but it's not. It doesn't fit within my purview, unfortunately.
Okay.
Although I would agree. Sean Astin street art. I'd be down with that.
I would be down. Yeah, it should be the Sean Astin version.
Look, if Shepard Fairey can rip off Andre the Giant's likeness, let's get inspired by Shepard Fairey himself and do a Middle Earth version of Samwise Has a Posse.
I would love that. I would be totally down for that.
Obey Samwise.
Obey Samwise? No, that's terrible.
The whole book. Look, he's an unreliable narrator. Anyway,
he is not an unreliable narrator.
All right, before we go any further,
I'm about to lock you up with the horses in the corral if you say that one more time. How can Samwise be an unreliable narrator when most of this stuff is supposed to be how we, common everyday people, feel like we've been pulled into something that is beyond our reckoning?
Last words.
Could I claw my way back to that frame narrative thing? That your idea was that it would be people in the Undying Lands, Galadriel, Elrond, Gandalf.
Someone sent me a text on the hotline, yes, and they said, wouldn't it be great if the Valar, the gods and goddesses, the Valar,
would it though?
And I thought to myself, they don't have a license for those names. They can't make Valar into characters. They can't even mention them by name.
Yeah.
Because it's not part of the license that we know of.
All right. Hey.
But I love that idea. But no. Go ahead. No, he's going to finish his thought. Finish your thought.
I was just going to say, I'm not sure how many seasons these people are going to go for, but who would be your if you were going to change the narrator each season, who would be your pick?
I would pick different people such as Elrond, Samwise, Gandalf, young Aragorn himself, and Isildur. How about telling the story from Isildur's point of view and all of the struggles of surviving Numenor? He tells us about how his father and he survived, founded Gondor, started a kingdom, leading all the way up to that ultimate moment where he has the ring and he freaking fails. You had one job. He has the wrong Best Picture envelope. He says La La Land on stage by mistake. You see what I mean? You had one job. You had to throw the ring away, Isildur. Instead, that could be a fascinating narrator for one season. His glorious fall from grace.
I think we need a whole episode that goes through all the potentials of the narrator.
You're going to get this. Now, you guys sit back and think for a minute that Professor Tolkien had the singular vision. And the reason why we're so enamored with Professor Tolkien is that he was one writer with the most amazing linguistic skills and history skills, and he was just an amazing mind. Now we have to have our world of Tolkien created by committee by at least 12 or 16 different people in a room. How are you going to get comfortable with that? Because it's no longer in the purview of one person.
That's a whole different conversation.
It is? Is it? No, that's the nature of writing for television.
We're not talking about writing for television. Anyway.
I've been talking about writing for television this whole hour.
Did you watch this video? Did you watch the Lindsay Ellis video?
I did. I watched the Lindsay Ellis videos, all 3 of them.
Okay.
Very carefully.
So let's play it.
Thank you, Lindsay, for actually using my video clip with Guillermo del Toro.
You didn't ask us, by the way. Just drop us a line saying, "Hey, heads up, I want to use your video."
I don't mind. It was for analysis and discussion.
No, I don't mind that's in use. Just give us a heads up that we're in your video, or the One Ring is in your video.
I kind of appreciated it, but yeah.
But
I wouldn't mind the heads up.
I wanted to talk about this shot.
I'm rather easygoing about people using my shit.
All right, let's play this clip.
The industrial action has the support of actors' unions around the world, and big names like Carl Urban come out in support of it. But local crews and Peter Jackson are terrified that this will scare Warner Brothers away from New Zealand altogether.
And they are frankly worried because the actors bought a completely frivolous action. Now, if they've done that once, what happens in a year's time when Warner Brothers have spent $250 million, they're halfway through the film, and the actors decide to have some fun again? It's like it could happen all over again. They have no confidence.
They then came back with the argument, well, we'll just go somewhere else. We'll go and do it in Hungary or Poland or somewhere like that.
Social media exploded with fighting.
And there were protests in the streets about what Actors Equity was doing.
Seeing Weather Workshop stuff and Richard Taylor and everyone else marching down the streets in Wellington.
The idea became, hey, The Hobbit's going to happen, but it could happen in Ireland or it could happen in the Czech Republic or whatever. And I think the New Zealand public kind of poo-pooed that and didn't believe. I think we felt such ownership of it that no one believed for a second that it would go anywhere else. And I think anyone who knows much about, about international filmmaking, is that it could quite easily have gone anywhere else.
There were these really nasty, divisive forces at work.
That's what I was probably most unfortunate about the way it played out, is it went from one group pushing for better workers' rights, suddenly became, the film's about to go away, don't worry, if we just change these labour laws, now we can save the film.
I think by that stage, equity had lost.
And then politicians were like, hey.
All right, before I wanted to pause.
That's a very interesting segment of Lindsay Ellis's video.
Okay, so
where she was giving us a little bit of background about how Warner Brothers
who's
handled dealing with the New Zealand lawmakers to put down what they thought was a boycott by the actors who were just asking for fair wages and fair pay.
What side, based on that video clip, what side do you think Peter Jackson is on in that debate based on that video clip?
Well, that's a clip of a news clip where Peter Jackson was on a national New Zealand news magazine, like the equivalent of 60 Minutes, and he was being asked by the news anchor, how did this come to this? And Peter was just describing from
Warner's
point of view. Yes, I don't think that was necessarily Peter's viewpoint. He was describing from Warner Brothers' viewpoint what was at risk for them.
At the same time, Richard Taylor is marching
in the streets, yes.
in arm with the actors.
Yeah, he was.
The interesting thing
that's because they didn't want the production to entirely leave New Zealand and go and be shot somewhere else. But it was not wrong of the actors to ask for equal protections. Like, as Lindsay Ellis very smartly points out in this video, which we didn't show you the full clip of, but the actors are doing the same work as the same type of crew, carpenters, electricians, grips, and actors, and all these other people working on productions, making half the amount of money that you and I would make doing the same job here in the United States. And yet they're doing it down in New Zealand, and all these filmmakers are down there. James Cameron is down there. Everyone's down there filming in New Zealand.
Because there's no
taking advantage of this.
There's no union agreement in New Zealand for actors.
They tried to put something together, and then it was used as a threat to The Hobbit, and then it became a national crisis.
Not only a national crisis, it became a law. A national law in New Zealand.
The Hobbit Law.
The Hobbit Law that basically New Zealand is still non-union. So all of the financial protections.
No, that was a limit. The party that was ruling the parliament at the time.
So do you really think they would have moved the Hobbit production away from New Zealand?
Do you think that a worker can get insurance and get pension and fair wages when you're only an independent contractor? Do you think you can pay your health insurance when you're not getting any insurance coverage from your employer?
You basically don't make as much when you're non-union. But
fair enough, that's true.
The thing that the fans rallied around to support these actors at the time when The Hobbit was made was that we cannot picture anything else but New Zealand to represent Middle Earth.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes, Daniel.
I was going to say, if you watch the Peter Jackson interview in its entirety, he points to a set that's struck behind him, and that's apparently like the golems. Like whether there's any truth to that, I'm not sure. Yeah. But his sort of thing is, his take on it is that they've already started doing pre-production, and that there is no chance that it'll be going overseas. I mean, it could just be spin, but
Yeah, it was spin. It was totally spin. So the issue that we have, and the reason I wanted to bring this up, I'd love to have Lindsay on the show and we can talk more about this in depth. But the reason I wanted to bring this
up, by all
up,
means, I very much have welcomed. Even on Twitter, I reached out to Lindsay Ellis, and if you're hereby in Southern California, girl, come on the show. We want to have you on the show.
You guys tweet at her, let her know.
I'd love to have you talk with us about this.
I tell you what,
I'm fascinated by this, really.
The Hobbit law that was enacted in the wake of this controversy to make New Zealand as a country non-union for actors is expiring next year.
Indeed, it is up for up for renewal or repeal. Yes.
Renewal or repeal. And guess what is also on the table? More Middle Earth production.
Well, when you put it that way.
And the rumors that I'm hearing from New Zealand right now is that the same argument, the same fight is about to happen again. They are dangling, Amazon is dangling more Lord of the Rings production, $1 billion worth, as they've said in the press.
Oh, good gravy.
But New Zealand may have to concede to remain non-union when they spend $1 billion on more production.
That's not good for anyone. That is not good for anyone.
So, what happens? Would fans accept Romania as Middle Earth? Would fans accept the Scottish Highlands as Middle Earth?
They might have to. They might have to.
Do we want to? That's the question. Like, are they dangling this threat of moving Middle Earth away from New Zealand just to get union concessions?
Do you accept Iceland as Westeros? You often have. You accept North Ireland as freaking Westeros. You have often fully committed to everything that HBO showrunners Michael Benioff and D.B. Weiss have given you, because they've done it quite well. Even you can shoot anywhere around the world if you do it right, but
do we as fans
the first Lord of the Rings movie was shot in Spain, in the mountainous countryside of Spain, where Ralph Bakshi shot everything live action before he went and did rotoscoping animation over everything that he shot. And he had hundreds of extras, people on horseback fighting out in the mountains of Spain. And at that time, we accepted Spain as Middle Earth. So this is something of I don't know. I don't know about this argument. I don't know where you're going with this.
No, all I'm saying is that the debate that is covered in Lindsay Ellis's latest video, which you can look up on YouTube.
Yes.
You have to look at it from fresh eyes, that the same debate is about to happen, and we're going to retread all of the same arguments, that the law is up for repeal or renewal, that Amazon has publicly stated, hey, we're going to spend $1 billion. Hey, New Zealand government, do you want $1 billion? Just carry on this non-union law.
Yeah, I'll tell you what I appreciate about Lindsay's...
Like it is a very... Go ahead. Sorry.
I appreciate that her argument, her discussion in analyzing the Hobbit films and the success or the lack of success, is that in the end, she brings all of it down to how do we consume media when we know it's coming from an unethical place. You know, we consume, as consumers, all kinds of things, from clothing to who we put our money in the banks to other places, knowing that those companies are doing all kinds of disservices to other human beings. And she goes into great detail in exactly this tract of an argument, and she actually levels off the conversation very smartly by saying, how we consume media is something of a personal challenge for everybody because we respond so strongly to an album. People respond so strongly to Michael Jackson, and yet when the Santa Barbara district attorney brought charges against him in the 90s, the king of pop was torn down in scandal, and people started questioning whether they were going to even listen to MJ the same way anymore. I mean, come off that.
So do you think Lord of the Rings fans...
So the multinational corporation that is Time Warner, Warner Brothers, destroying the ability for actors in New Zealand to unionize themselves is an ugly mess. And according to Lindsay Ellis's viewpoint, I agree, it colors how we consume the Hobbit films going forward.
So do you think this debate...
That's the way it is.
Will this debate color how we feel about Amazon going forward?
Yes, it would. I think
you have an opinion.
Daniel, you're part of the same area in Australia and New Zealand where,
it's all the same thing. No.
The level's good?
I was just going to say, did it color your view when the Hobbit movies came around?
We weren't aware of these things when the Hobbit movies were released.
Well, we kind of were. It was in the news.
Well, kind of, but...
Remember when... Okay,
it wasn't put in perspective.
Maybe not, but
the fans.
I was in high school at this point. This is way back. Wasn't there like there were like horses dying or something? Remember that sort of stuff? How did that make you feel? Did that kind of diminish the thing for you in any way? Those sorts of things that were coming out of New Zealand at that time? In any way?
I researched that myself.
Okay.
And I didn't know for sure whether we were getting the straight story about what was happening to those horses.
I remember that controversy, though.
I remember it. I do remember it, yes. I thought that it had something to do with the way that the horses were taken care of after they were done with the filming.
The short answer is yes, it does affect and influence how fans take in the final product.
Let's go back in time to the 2000 presidential election when it was Bush versus Gore. Aragorn himself...
No!
Listen.
Don't talk about that.
Viggo Mortensen took a very political viewpoint, and he polarized a lot of Lord of the Rings fans who were saying on our forums, on theonering.net, I'm done with Lord of the Rings because I don't agree with Viggo's politics. This is in the same vein of the conversation we're having right now.
They're not wrong.
I think if we're going to go there, I think the charm of the Lord of the Rings, especially if you watch the behind-the-scenes stuff, the charm is the Kiwi ingenuity and that whole side of it, the fact that it was like a gigantic indie film. I mean, Viggo, as cool as he is, he's not going to have the same sort of oomph as that whole, a nation rallying to get 3 movies made. It's not going to have that sort of punch.
Yeah.
By the way, it's Anzac Day today in Australia and New Zealand.
Very good.
So, that has no bearing on what we're talking about right now. But
that's
nice
awesome.
shout out, though.
Yeah, nice shout out. Now,
look, Cliff.
I would
all I know is if this debate returns, it's going to affect how we appreciate this. There's a lot at risk here.
And we do appreciate Lindsay Ellis at least crystallizing this discussion and putting it in perspective.
I will say
a nice
this.
perspective.
Look,
so check out her videos.
And I will say this, that I wish she had brought up, if she's going to bring up that part of the controversy of the Hobbit law and lawsuits flying, let's not forget that the entire cast of Lord of the Rings sued Warner Brothers because they felt they weren't getting a fair share after Fellowship of the Ring made $1 billion.
And they weren't. Bye.
Right?
Thank you. By the way, bye. Good to see you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So the very first Lord of the Rings movie had lawsuits attached from the actors because no one was getting their fair share. And they repeated the not fair share action by doing this whole union busting game on The Hobbit, and it sounds like they're about to do it again. Have they not learned the lesson of just treat your actors fair, prevent a lawsuit
perhaps
by
not.
just treat everybody fair? I
agree with you. I agree with you.
Why fight the same battle for the 3rd time? And especially now that Amazon is an untrusted narrator.
Okay, yeah, an
unreliable narrator. We don't know how to feel.
Would you say they're an unreliable guardian of the Tolkien franchise?
We don't know.
They're just an unknown entity.
They're just an unknown
at this point. All right, this is fascinating. See, have we mentioned, Pete says in the chat, the anti-Johnny Depp backlash at Crimes of Grindelwald?
Oh my gosh!
Which is the next Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them series, and everyone's like really not down with Johnny Depp having allegedly been a domestic abuser, allegedly.
It does influence it, and later on, like just watch Lindsay Ellis's video, and then we'll have future conversations about this because there's a lot to unpack.
My final thoughts. Thank you. Thumbs up to you, Lindsay Ellis. By all means, you're invited to be part of the show at any time, and I appreciate your humanism and your approach to discussing the whole thing. I really do. Especially good interview she got with John Callan, who plays Owen. You know, the dwarf who is the apothecary of the 13 dwarves, and he has the ear horn. And Mr. John Callan is very...
No speaking lines.
He is, but he is so eloquent. He's such an eloquent speaker. And Lindsay, you got some good interview with Mr. John Callan.
I will say that when the One Ring community really rallied on Twitter to get the dwarves to the premiere. Like, they were going to do this big Hollywood premiere at the Chinese Theater just down the street from where we're at right now, and they didn't invite any of the Kiwi dwarves. And so there was a huge social media effort to get the dwarves, get the Kiwis to the premiere. And at the end of the day, in this video, they say Warner Brothers did fly out all the Kiwi dwarves.
They did.
And then no one from Warner Brothers ever spoke to them ever again.
Yep, how about that?
And in fact, we met up. You were with us. We met up with the Happy Hobbits, with the dwarves, and they were just drinking alone at the bar at the Roosevelt, you know, the night before the premiere.
Yeah.
This was fun. At 3 a.m., the Roosevelt bar, and you know those places. It's old. It's been around since the 20s. And so everyone's like, the Happy Hobbits are arm wrestling the dwarves. Graham McTavish is arm wrestling Kelly Rice. Like, it's just a wonderful night. And I say, hey, we should go surprise the fans that are camped out on Hollywood Boulevard, you know, in the sleeping bags and stuff, waiting for the premiere. So at 3 a.m., we take all those dwarves actors, and we go out, Dean O'Gorman and Graham McTavish, and we surprise all the fans.
We should,
It was so much fun.
Yeah, definitely.
I got to find that video, because that was so much fun to surprise everybody.
Show some of that. I mean, please do.
Hey, Cliff, I think it's about that time.
It's about that time for our segment, our popular, ever-popular segment, Questions from a Noob.
All right.
We got to come up with a better name for that.
Yeah, there's got to be like an alliteration or something that we can.
You guys in the chat room, come up with a better name for the segment where a
newbie corner,
a novice that has just rediscovered the Tolkien movies wants to ask questions of the Tolkien expert to clarify some things.
The novice in the corner sounds like you've been for punishment or something.
We need a new title for the segment. You guys put it out there. Anyway, you guys carry on.
Okay, so since last week, I think last week I had bought the Hobbit movies, the extended editions on iTunes.
Oh, yeah.
And I have gone through all the movies now, the Hobbit movies.
Yes.
And having never read the book, The Hobbit, I don't... Legolas looks a little weird because he's like 20 years older than he was when he filmed. That's a little off to me, but...
yeah.
But I don't.
Orlando looked a little jowly.
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't know what I'm missing, right? So like, I'm not watching those movies and going, "Oh, this wasn't in the book. This makes no sense. This wasn't in the book." It's well, this is difficult with people talking.
No, bring it. By the way, we're actually listening to JC here, our proprietor of Scum and Villainy. He's bringing new questions from the Tolkien experience because it's kind of fresh to you.
Yes, it's all brand new. So I am actually going to download The Hobbit on my iPad and read it while I'm on vacation this next week.
It is an effortless read.
I should do that. That's a good idea.
So I'll be able to be a little bit smarter, but I'll be able to ask questions from the book, because right now everything I've got is we're going to roll back probably to Two Towers here.
I wouldn't say anything else is easy to read. The Silmarillion is nuts. It's impossible to read. The Lord of the Rings has a lot of challenges to try to read.
Questions about the Two Towers. It's my favorite of the movies.
Yes, I'm listening.
Okay,
I'm listening.
so the human army that is marching into Mordor that almost catches Sam and Frodo when Sam falls down and gets buried. This might be Return of the King.
Yep.
No, that's Two Towers.
Yep, and they're the Southrons.
What's their deal? Like, there's no backstory on them. You just hear about how this is the bad guy, and you kind of understand why. I mean, and that's another question. Like, why do the orcs subscribe to Sauron? But who are these men? Is he paying them? What are they, mercenaries? What's their deal?
Good question. There are lots of details in the books. The dudes that are marching up, who are not orcs, they are not normal
they look like
humans from another nation. In the past, in the recent past, Mordor as a nation led by Sauron's military interests engaged in relationships, political and otherwise, with all the other neighboring countries, and so he had his allies. Sauron had other nations to the east that were way off the map, and other nations way to the south that were off the map. And at one point, speaking of a map, David Wenham actually pulls out a map, and him and his general are poking around at the map talking about they're going to attack us here, but we have the city over here. But if you look closely at that, you'll see some of those nations down to the south.
So nations that aren't on Bilbo's map?
Nope.
Okay, and is that...
And they are allied with, and it is a mystery to us. We don't know how much they're getting paid. We don't know if these armed troops and these soldiers have been sent by the other royalty, the other royal family of this other nation because of blackmail, or they're afraid of Sauron. There might be some cheap shots going on, some foul play, or it might have been some paper. We don't know how much was changing hands, but even Faramir wonders that. He's like, what made this guy leave the safety of his home and wander this far up here to be part of this conflict?
So is that still Middle Earth?
Yep, it's all Middle Earth. Yep, totally.
Okay, but is that kind of like to use a Game of Thrones analogy, because I'm not allowed to bring up Star Wars and my girlfriend gets mad. Is that like cross the narrow sea where the Dothraki are from?
Yeah,
in terms of
not across a
right, but
water, but
metaphorically, it's kind of like they're kind of like they're the uncivilized people over there. We don't really pay attention.
Yes, exactly.
Kind of okay.
Yes, you could say the Dothraki are a pretty good analogy to the way that the Lord of the Rings depicts some of these other nations. The Easterlings are the ones that are that are literally seeing Frodo and Sam slipping down that sandy side. Yeah, the Easterlings. So they are in the story of Turin, the Turambar from the Silmarillion. So a remnant of them have been bad for some time. Yeah, Tolkien has lots of roots. Lots of background threads to let us know.
Swarthy men? What does swarthy men mean? In the chat room, someone says swarthy men?
Yeah, the Easterlings, because they looked different to the pasty, porcelain, Anglo-Saxon looking people that were.
So should we have a whole series of episodes about the Easterlings? The swarthy men?
That's kind of interesting, right? And you find out why they...
It's the best way to get more diversity into the cast and into Middle-earth is to look at these major characters, Gondor and Sauron, and how they had relationships with other nations. And it's part of Numenor. Even Numenor is considered not just another nation, but they were considered a separate race of human beings, like they were from Atlantis. They lived for 300 years. They were like powerful and had great skills, and
that Aragorn is a descendant of them.
The dudes from Atlantis. I mean Numenor, right? So, yeah, you know what? Yeah, looking at other ethnicities and other people is something that we desperately, desperately want and need in these kinds of stories, and they have access to it in the license. So they should full on give us the whole world, and let's talk about everybody's relationships with each other. Like, there's some good stories there. Some really good stories there.
So on that same scene, they cover themselves in the elven cloaks.
The elven cloaks,
and
yeah.
they look like rocks.
Yeah.
Is that a magic thing? Is that a more like a sniper camouflage? How does that work?
Just the elves have this technique of making fabric like that, and it will keep you waterproof, it'll keep you warm, it'll keep you cool, it'll keep you chill.
It's like Teflon, elven Teflon.
But the stuff is really exaggerated, I think, in that scene where they're hiding under their cloak. But yeah, it does camouflage you, because it's described by Professor Tolkien as having this amazing ability to camouflage you in the natural wilderness where you were. Yeah. I was so literally like shown by Peter Jackson. It's like a joke. I made a joke about it at WonderCon, actually. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So there's I have some other questions, but the one that's really stuck out is Saruman looks as if he does a lot of reading, right? It's like he's got his own library.
Yes.
And then when Gandalf is trying to figure out the ring that Bilbo took, which I think is the extended edition of Fellowship, he goes to a library. Now, to use another Game of Thrones reference, it looks like the library that
Samwell Tarly goes to?
Yes.
The Citadel?
And
that's in Gondor, and that shot is in both the theatrical, regular version, and in the extended.
That's the White City that we see at the end.
Gondor.
Okay, so he goes all the way to Gondor, and then he goes all the way back, and then he ends up in Gondor. Good thing he's got the white magic horse. That's not actually magic.
He goes from the bottom of the lake to the top of the highest mountain.
No.
Sounds like a 70s song.
Wait. In the movie, you don't know that Gandalf has been gone for 17 years. Nobody realizes that. Gandalf has been gone for 17 freaking years. So yeah, it's not like, oh my God, he's running 300 miles every few seconds across Middle-earth. But it's just so compressed in the editing.
The way that it's edited, it looks as if Gandalf goes to that library during the time that he should be meeting them at the Prancing Pony. It looks like he's at that library, but that's not what happens.
No, the time when he was supposed to be meeting them, he'd been held captive by Saruman.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
So it's almost like a flashback when they show it.
When we get the flashback, but when Gandalf is looking for something in Minas Tirith in that library, he's looking for Isildur, the guy that I just talked about, who should be a narrator and a framing device for one whole season of the new Lord of the Rings show, to tell us about Numenor and all the stuff that happened. Isildur wrote stuff down and said, here is the flaming red inscription.
Oh, and like what it...
if you heat up the ring. And so that's the magic. That was the magic bullet that Gandalf needed to prove what it was.
Why did he do that? If it's his precious, why is he documenting it for other people to see?
Always a writer's conundrum. Why do you have any character willing to expose themselves and write things down? Well, A, it's convenient for the audience to find out through them, okay? But seriously, I've wondered that myself, except if Gandalf went looking for something secret that Isildur wrote as a secret journal, then it wasn't shown that way in the movie. It looked like he found it in a pile of papers.
Right.
To the 17.
What if it was something really secret that Isildur had locked
like it's a journal or something.
Yeah, real secret.
Peter Jackson says
that secret USB drive.
Peter Jackson officially says that Gandalf was gone for 1 month in the movie. Not 17 years. 1 month.
I said in the book.
We're talking about movies here, right? You saw the movies?
Okay. Well, anyways, but
last question. All right. Can Gandalf see the future? Did we talk about this last week? How does he know that he'll arrive precisely at dawn on the 5th day?
Certain characters do have a foresight.
Like Elrond, yes.
Elrond and Gandalf, and sometimes Galadriel, are the 3 characters that have the most vision of the future. Why would that be? Because they are the bearer of the Elven Rings.
Okay.
The Elven Rings of Power are Elrond, Gandalf, Galadriel. They hold those rings.
And they can see the future?
They talk to each other through psychic telekinesis through psychic powers.
And that's
they probably do have some skill from the rings.
Is that from the rings though, that they can talk to each other?
I'm assuming.
Okay.
I'm assuming.
So like if I had the ring, I could talk to Elrond and Galadriel from here.
Yep.
That'd be cool.
Yep.
That would be neat.
There's
just
a
be like,
oh my God, that'd be like awesome, better than a magic band at Disney World. Like you can talk to everybody.
Do you know how much? Telekinesis is in the Lord of the Rings, like quite literally. No one even talks about this. But there's these soft dissolves between Cate Blanchett, and she's talking urgently to Hugo Weaving about, the threat, the enemy, the sword. Are you going to help Aragorn? And then, lo and behold, Elrond goes and takes the shards of the sword to his elven smiths and gets the damn thing remade. And then has that beautiful scene where he goes all the way to that tent and gives it to Aragorn. And that's because earlier in the film, they're using their elven rings for telekinesis with each other. There's literally just
it's
mind
so
talking.
Unbelievable.
It's real telekinesis.
It's so unbelievable.
You'd think it was like Space 1999 or some crappy sci-fi 70s, but it's Professor Tolkien giving us a secret magic trick that is so subtle in the film, most people pass it by and don't know. Even in the Hobbit films, Galadriel speaks telekinetically.
To Gandalf, yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, we had two good ideas to name this segment today. One is called "What You Talking About Tolkien About."
What you Tolkien about?
The other one is "Concerning Tolkien."
Concerning Tolkien.
Which one do you guys like?
I like
"What You Tolkien About."
I like Newbie Corner.
No, that's a terrible name.
Yes, Riddles in the Dark.
That's
it. I like that, Daniel.
There we go.
I like it. I like it.
Riddles in the Dark.
I like that.
What do you think?
I like that one. That makes sense.
Okay.
Daniel for the win.
Hey, thank you.
2 beers
JC.
in. And JC, thank you very much for...
Oh.
All right. So, yeah, hey, thanks. This is interesting that the man doesn't know the difference between extended cut and original cut.
No, and I don't know the difference between the book or I don't know anything.
I love this. I love this quality.
Nobody does going forward. No one is... You watch it on TV, on TNT, with your family, with your niece, and then... She's like, I like this, and let's watch it for real.
For real.
She has no context that what she just saw on TNT is not the same.
Do you know what? After you've seen the extended editions, you'll never, ever need to go back and watch the regular theatrical ones ever again.
I'm going to go... I am, when I get back from vacation, going to sit down and re-watch all the extended editions with my friend who I convinced. And so, as I went through, I got wrapped up in the story, and I stopped writing down questions because I didn't want to pause the movie and do that whole thing. But I'm going to rewatch with the knowledge of the 6 movies, and now hopefully on the next rounds of shows I'll have even better questions.
Excellent.
And I'm going to start reading the books.
Excellent.
So I'll have book questions too.
Don't get ahead of me too much.
We can't be. See, that's why the segment should not be called "Questions from a Noob," because too long you're going to be a polished professional.
I mean,
I'll be the only noob here.
You'll be the only noob. My co-host of over 6 years is the only noob who hasn't read it yet. I love a juicy irony. Guys, is this the end of Torn Tuesday?
It is.
For this week? Well, it's 6:30.
We got 0 complaints on the bandwidth, so thank the bandwidth gods at the Scum and Villainy Cantina
Pipsquet
for
loves
making
your
it
hat.
happen.
You know she's from Texas? And Pipsquet says that she loves you representing Houston and Texas.
Miss, I think I'm going to wear this for every episode as long as Westworld is on TV, because that's an amazing show, and this is an official Westworld hat. I've shown you the logo. I've been to Westworld, and I'm gonna.
I would have done
Westworld is my Middle Earth. I would go there. I would die there.
We've got dozens of people who've been texting us on the hotline. Thank you to Mayor Gamgee, Pipsquet, all these Tolkien girl. You called in. Thanks for calling in.
FAQ, on the show frequently asked quests.
Ooh,
that's all right.
Asked quests.
If we get an audience here and Kevin Smith does his show once in a while, we can set up a microphone, couldn't we? And just have people stand up, just like Comic-Con, they can come up and ask their questions. I like that. And if you guys are ever in Hollywood or you live in Southern California, please make an effort. come down to the show. Sit at the bar with us. You may not want to be on camera, but we will talk about something that is going to just get you livid enough that you need to chime in on whatever we're talking about.
So awesome. Say goodnight, Daniel.
Good night, everybody.
You're supposed to say goodnight, Daniel.
Oh, good night, Daniel.
That's much better. Ba-dum-bum.
No.
Hey, no, really, it's good to have you on the show. Thank you for being with us.
Man, it's my pleasure to be here. Thank you for letting me speak and all that.
Representing Australasia, representing.
We got more opinion?
Maybe a little bit.
We have more. Add in, bro. Come back.
I just like to say I'm using my telephone voice, and these guys are amazing. It's such a great show, man. It's amazing.
Thanks for listening.
Yeah, you're awesome.
Thanks for coming in.
That was the radio DJ. I would love that. That's so good, dude. That was AM smooth jazz. I was loving it. That was super good. Thank you, my friends, for joining us.
Hey, Cliff, we've been doing this.
JC, thank you for hosting us tonight.
We've been doing this for 6 years. The One Ring's been around for 15 years,
Mm-hmm.
and we're just getting started on what the next phase of Lord of the Rings fandom looks like.
There's so much more to come.
We submitted our panels for San Diego Comic-Con.
Yeah, San Diego, that's coming up.
We're looking at launching a collectible section of the website. We've got a bunch of plans that we want to do, and if you guys want to see or do anything else, we're working on making this into a podcast that you could download and listen to on iTunes.
Yes,
we're listening
absolutely.
to you, so tweet at us, post in the comments what you want more from the OneRing.net, because we want to keep the fandom alive. And please come to the Scum and Villainy Cantina on May the 4th.
You can jump in the show
Huge
anytime.
event here.
Oh, what? No, wait, yeah, tell us the real deal.
May the 4th.
That's around the corner, isn't it?
May the 4th is going to be nuts. We've got, is that working now?
Oh, San Antonio. Hey, San Antonio.
May the 4th, we are going to do trivia from like 6 to 8. We're going to open up early. We're going to open up at 2 o'clock. So if you're like me and you don't have a real job, your job is working at a bar, you can come here. You can hang out, talk about Star Wars, and May the 4th be with you from all night, basically, 12 hours. You can celebrate May the 4th for 12 hours with us. We're going to do door prizes. We're going to do trivia from 6 to 8. That is difficult. It's hard Star Wars trivia.
Okay.
There's going to be cosplayers here.
Cosplayers, yeah. It's going to be. It's probably like the best place to go on May the 4th.
You know
would be my guess.
This
We're
is
going to have
be a
some
huge
amazing
event.
things here.
We're going to have some amazing things. Guess what? In January, I'm turning a very special birthday, and I'm thinking about why don't I have a huge karaoke 50th birthday party here?
Totally should do that.
What do you think?
How old was Bill?
Totally should do that.
Would you be down for that?
Yes, 100%.
I don't know where to do my 50th, and I think it should be quite special.
How old was Bilbo when he
100%.
Okay, what?
How old was Bilbo when he left?
38? Maybe 46?
How old was Frodo when he left?
No, Frodo was 38, I think, when he began his journey.
So
I'll have to look it up.
I turn 38 next January. Oh. So I think what I should do is go visit Middle Earth in New Zealand for my 38th birthday, and I'll go through and do the whole thing, and then we can come back and talk about it on the show.
New Zealand is an amazing place.
I love it.
Great place to visit. I'll hook you up with some good people who are down there when you're there.
Amazing.
Good know some good people. Frodo was 50. Thank you, Pete. Frodo was 50 when he started his journey. 50.
Oh, well, I got some time.
You might go on an adventure, and I can have the show all to myself for a year. This is gonna be good. Anyway,
thank you, Jen. Yeah,
we're here every week at the same time, 5 p.m. Pacific, at the Scum and Villainy Cantina, live on Facebook, Twitch, Twitter. Follow us everywhere at the One Ring Net, because we're constantly posting memes and
mischief.
That's all you want, right?
Follow me on QuickBeam and Instagram at QuickBeam2000. You can follow Daniel at Instagram. Dan Halen.
Oh boy.
That's right, as in Van Halen. But it's awesome, and if you like 80s rock, like really great 80s rock as much as I do, including Def Leppard, Judas Priest, like Van Halen and all those 80s rock bands.
There's more people in the chat room going to New Zealand this year. We got to figure out how to connect all the wonderful people at New Zealand here with people in our chat room.
Hey, Scott. Scott, I'm going next December to New Zealand. Hook me up with those people. Yes, Scott, I will. We'll help you out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, we'll see you next week on Torn Tuesday in high definition, 60 frames per second from the SV Cantina.
That's right. Follow them. It's SV Cantina, right? SV Cantina?
Yeah.
Yes, on Twitter. And, hey, watch out. You guys, be good to yourselves for this week. We'll see you next Tuesday at 5 o'clock. Namaste. Nah, I'm staying in bed.